Okay, we're going to go ahead and call, good evening, everybody, and we're going to go ahead and call the 5 o'clock Public Works Committee to order. If there's no objection, does anybody need to add anything to the acceptance of the agenda? We'll just dismiss with the vote if there is none. Hearing none, we'll move right along. We're now on to the approval of the minutes. I need a motion.
Motion, second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes of the meeting? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor signify by passing the minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously for the approval of the December 10th meeting minutes. Now we're on to ordinances and resolution. We have, if there's any any citizens here tonight that need to sign in, but I don't think there is any. There's here seeing none. All right. There's no citizens. Everybody is still getting ready for 2025, I guess, and that's I know that I am. So we'll go on. And there's no citizens' comments. We'll go to ordinances and resolution. And we tonight have a reading of the resolution 2024-48. And it's a resolution to adopt an amendment to the revised field use policy in city parks as recommended by the Board of Parks and Recreation. And Andy, could you give us a little? First of all, we need a motion.
Motion, second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion. Second, Andy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. In 2023, spring of 2023, the Parks Board recommended and BOMA passed a field use policy that gave us the authority as a staff to basically shut down our fields during certain times of year to help with repair and growth of the fields.
Okay.
In that policy, it gives people the right to come to the Parks Board and petition for use outside of the policy. So immediately upon passage of the policy, Tennessee United Soccer Club came to the Parks Board and requested certain field usage during specifically the winter months for their teams that go and play all year round, basically.
Okay.
And we've been able to work with them for 2 years to do that. They practiced. We're able to rotate the fields. Now that we have the turf field, it helps a lot too. But the Parks Board, when they came this year, just felt like instead of having them, they wanted to make a motion to just allow it every year going forward, but we didn't feel like with the way the policy was an ordinance, or with the way it was passed by BOMA, excuse me, I think it was a resolution originally, that we needed to just amend the actual policy that was passed by BOMA so that it gave everybody the backing to allow that. I think that's important because as a staff, we get peppered with questions a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can we bring our 7v7 football team? Can we bring this team? Can we have, one year we had a request from middle school soccer to have a game the week before Christmas dressed as elves in Santa Claus for fun because the weather was nice. So this just helps us have a backing, and it eliminates redundancy year after year of them having to ask for permission for the same thing.
Okay. Does anyone have a question or comment on this?
Makes sense. If they don't have to ask permission, how can you regulate what fields to use?
We're approving what they have specifically asked for the last 2 years. And in that, it talks about their request has talked about on the front end that we as a staff would schedule the fields. It's not just them showing up. So they still have to go through us to schedule which fields it would be on, when it would be. It's not just a blanket, y'all come practice all you want.
Okay. They just notify the parks.
Correct.
Right?
So this will still allow the fields time to heal.
It has the last 2 years that we feel okay with what's
Okay.
going on.
Okay.
I wouldn't have brought it if I didn't feel good about our ability to control it so far.
Okay.
Excuse me, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Andy, if just say that this other teams may want to use the field rather than just maybe a field hockey team, is that okay to do this? Is this going to be?
This is only approving the request that Tennessee United Soccer has brought to the Parks Board the last 2 years. If
Okay.
someone else,
So,
if a
okay.
tackle football team comes and wants to use the field during a shutdown period,
Yes.
they'll have to go to the Parks Board.
Okay.
You know, if that became a thing where they're coming every year to ask for the same thing the same week, then the Parks Board may ask us as a staff to bring another amendment to this policy.
Okay. So we're just going to wait and see who else
Mhm.
wants to.
So far, this has really been the only group
Okay.
that's
Okay.
had to use
But
it.
it's not closed in case any other groups or individuals want to use it.
Well, it's shut down. Part of the complex is shut down, but they
it's
can, they have a
there was a
mechanism.
petition.
Yes.
Okay.
They have a mechanism to come ask.
Okay, great. That's
Yes,
what I
sir.
want to make sure. Thank you so much.
The other groups, just for y'all's information, like rugby and lacrosse, they start training now.
Mhm.
So we've had to open up some of our grass athletic fields to that right after the New Year's. So that's part of the policy though that was written in
Okay.
place to begin with.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So Andy is the first assignment to the turf field. If
Yes.
there is a need, the
Yes,
turf field gets it first.
correct.
Does United Soccer sometimes say they don't want this turf field, they want a real grass field?
During this time of year, they're really happy to be on the turf.
Okay,
But there are nights when they have maybe 5 or 6 teams practicing at once. So also we have middle school sports that are going on starting now. So sometimes those teams might need the turf field other than practice, playing for a game.
All right. Mayor, do you have any comment on
Appreciate you asking, but no, I don't.
Okay, thank you. And Jesse, how about yourself? No? All right. All right. Thank you for the discussion and thank you for your comments. Does everyone have any other further discussion on the resolution? Is everybody ready to vote? All right, hearing none is all in favor of the resolution 2024-48, which is a resolution to adopt an amendment to the revised field use policy in the city parks as recommended by the Parks Recreation, the Board of Parks and Recreation. All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have on to reading of resolution 2025-02, which is a resolution accepting the dedication of the completed street in Waterford Village, off-site connection to existing Lakeside Park Drive in Hendersonville, Sumner County. It's sponsored by Alderman Martin. I need a motion.
motion, second.
All right, there's been a proper motion, a second. Proper second, discussion on the motion. See, yeah, do you have anything to say?
No, I've already reviewed it with.
Okay. That's good. All right, anybody have any, Mayor? You have anything? No?
Appreciate it.
Jesse, okay, good. All right, well, this is one of those slam dunk kind of resolutions right here, which I'm very grateful for. Is everyone ready to vote on the motion? 2025-02, which is a resolution accepting the dedication of the completed street in Waterford Village, which is an off-site connection to the existing Lakeside Park Drive. All in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. Moving on to the last reading of our resolution. It's sponsored by our mayor. It's a resolution authorizing certain traffic and safety improvements through the use of flashing yellow arrows on traffic signals as recommended by the current studies and the manual on uniform traffic control devices, MUTCD standards. So, Mayor.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Very often when I'm in other cities and I see something that works well, especially when it comes to traffic, I bring it back here and act like it was my idea. And I did
didn't say.
that. and I did that several months ago and asked Sarah to look at what good this field has been doing with flashing yellow arrows. So the alternatives are you have a green light that sometimes people forget that they don't have the right of way when it's a green light and they're turning left. Or you have a red light, which means they can't move. And sometimes, very often, that red light causes unnecessary delays in traffic. But I'll let Sarah tell a little bit more about it.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually going to introduce Chris Smith, our traffic engineer.
Welcome, Chris. We're glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Let him
Alright.
explain a little bit. One of the first things he said when he started was, we need to implement these throughout the city. I've got all kinds of locations where we need to use these. And so, so I'll let him explain a little bit about the benefit that these would bring to the city.
All right, Richard, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, I'll just make it short and sweet and simple. The main reason we want to do this is not only to be consistent with the current standard in MUTCD
Right.
and other jurisdictions, but like the mayor was explaining earlier, it gives you more opportunities to turn left, what you cannot do now with the 5 section heads. It also gives the traffic engineer more flexibility on limiting the different left turn modes that you cannot do with the 5 section head. So for example, if you're having a lot of crashes at a location, you can limit that to be protected only at certain times of the day, for example. And also, it also gives us the flexibility to implement what we call a lead lag left turn phasing scheme. So that means normally the left turns go at the beginning and then the through movements go after
Yes,
them.
I
So
gotcha.
in order to promote smoother flow when you're running coordination, when the lights are synchronized, you can implement a phasing scheme where the one left turn on one approach goes first, and then the other left turn comes towards the end before it serves the side streets. And you can't do that right now in the city with the 5 section because it implements that yellow trap issue, if you're not familiar with that. So what that means is if you implement that left turn phasing scheme on the leading left turn direction, when that left turn through movement is going yellow, person that left turn lane thinks the other approach gets a yellow, and that's not true in the case.
Okay.
So they turn, and then there's an accident.
T-bone or something. Yeah.
And it's been a known issue for many years now in
Didn't know
traffic.
it had a name.
So that's what it's called. It's called the yellow trap for a reason.
Yes, it is.
So-
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep. So that gives the flexibility with flashing yellow arrow. Instead of having the green ball and going to yellow and creating that issue, it just stays flashing yellow all the time.
Well, that's good. How many, just, and you may not know this now, but I'm sure that you will. How many arrows do we have in town? I'm sure,
Flashing yellow arrow?
Yeah.
0.
but once that's done, see, I was thinking, no, let me back
I've
up.
seen them in Goodlettsville too.
Not flashing arrows, but just the arrow, the signal.
Protected left.
Yeah.
Protect the
The
left.
protected- Yes, the protected left, that's right.
Majority of the intersections in the
Yeah.
city have it.
I was thinking of a lot of the ones like on the main drag, that there's considerable amount.
Mhm.
Well, Mayor and Christopher, this is exciting. That's good. I mean, you can tell how our committee's boring because that's an exciting thing. It's dealing with a flashing light. So tell what ticks us. So
There will be signs installed with them as we implement it over time that tells drivers what that indication means,
okay.
along with the press release we plan on doing as well.
Okay, well, so there'll be a press release with it too, which is good, and get it, let people know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion on this, Mayor?
I don't think, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to have Chris here too. Chris, you've been here how long now?
A little over 3 months.
Wow.
So
Brings
he
a
really
fresh
made an
set of eyes.
impact. He really made an
Yeah.
impact.
Well, I'm glad. I brought this up about a year ago, and I was told that our lights don't have this capability. So what this resolution does, it funds to put the capability on the lights. Is that correct?
This particular resolution is just to approve implementing this throughout the city. So for now, there's no budget appropriation associated with this. If we have any maintenance funds, we may do some implementation, and we may request a project fund through the fiscal year 26 budget.
Yeah.
But this is simply to approve its use.
Yeah, all of us have instances in our ward that we can bring to light. I mentioned the traffic light at 386 and Drakes Creek Road. Sometimes when I go to Nashville, I turn left, and it's just a protected green light. There's no flashing light.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if I have to go to the airport early in the morning, nobody's on the road.
Mm.
And here I've got to stop. That's a perfect example that if we have a blinking yellow light, if there's nobody coming, I could go, correct? I can turn left.
If you had the fourth section of flashing yellow arrow, that's correct.
Yes.
That's protected only at that location right now.
And that's what this does, correct? This resolution?
So there's also still the flashing yellow lights later on at night. We do some of those right now. This would be the flashing yellow arrow to remind you that you don't have the right of way, but doesn't require that you wait until it turns green.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I do just want to also clarify that they can't be implemented everywhere. It's not something where every single location will be able to have these. There's some criteria to be able to implement these safely. And so that's something that Chris will be looking at through the studies and compliance with METC to just to make sure that we provide a safe implementation that's in compliance with the standards.
So the next thing is a study and then a budget amendment. Will this be budgeted in the mid-year budget? Some of this?
So most of it probably won't need a budget because it's something that Chris can do. But when we find out that there's some that we need to add some maintenance or maybe some equipment,
Okay.
we'll bring it back in
Okay.
for next fiscal year.
This helps with congestion. This helps traffic flow.
Correct.
So I want to be a co-sponsor tonight or whenever it comes before the board, because I'm a firm believer. I think this is a good move for us. Thank you.
All righty, I'll make a note that you want to be a co-sponsor on this as well.
I'll allow that.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Blinking yellow
That's
light.
true, because you can't do that.
Yeah,
You
just
say
remember
no.
that when you've got something or you've got something.
That's right, that's true, That's
Hey,
very
the
true.
more the merrier.
You can call it your idea.
You gotta
this
ask
time.
the original sponsor. Yeah, because
I've learned their strength in numbers.
Definitely.
All right, any further discussion on this? Thank you, Christopher. We appreciate your
Yeah,
input.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And, all right, is everyone ready to vote on resolution 2025-03 is authorizing the certain traffic and safety improvements through the use of flashing yellow arrows on traffic signals as recommended by the current studies of the manual uniform traffic control devices, MUTCD standards. Hearing no further discussion, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes unanimously, and we'll put Alderman Roberson as a sponsor along with Mayor Clary on this issue. Now,
Thank you.
on to, yes, sir, thank you very much. And now we are on to other agenda items. Let's go to the world famous trash collection update.
World famous. So you'll see in this packet, we have two different graphs that have been shared. The first is our regular, the last month worth of collection. And there's, of course, a significant spike that you see right around when we didn't collect trash on that Friday.
Right.
With snow and ice. So that's that peak there. And then the second graph that's shown is based on all of the reported misses from July 1st through the end of the year, just
Very
to
good.
show the trend line there. You can see it's a positive trend line. So just wanted to share that to show how things are going with trash collection.
Yeah, I will say this. I know that I did have some calls because of the snow, because they just, people didn't know. They weren't like mad. They were just saying, are they going to come back? In my ward. Now, there were some I think in Ward 5 that I don't know what the situation there was. But they had to, I guess I'm assuming they went back and redid some of the ones. I don't know. I think you may be familiar with one. The alderman called me about it.
Yes,
And okay, so you're familiar with all, and they got that taken care of then?
they did
Okay, good. That's
on
the main
Monday.
thing. Okay, well, on Monday they did. Okay, good. So good. You've answered my question, and no need to discuss any further. The collection, at least over on the peninsula, has been pretty good. So I'm very grateful for that. And overall, the city, it's been tough a little bit because of the weather that we've had. But hopefully we're gonna have some more cold weather, but coming to an end here with the next couple of months. So,
Yeah.
any comment or statements about the trash collection?
Yeah, I would like to thank Casey for putting out public information spots when the garbage is delayed. And
Yes, thank you very much for that.
It helps, and I typically will take that and share it with my HOAs and people, that in Ward 6. Do we use what's the emergency
Code Red.
code red? Do we use that for garbage?
We do.
Okay.
So it's something I started, I think initially we were just using it for the emergency weather, but there is an option when people sign up. There's like a little box that says general, and I've been everywhere I preach about it. I say, make sure you check that box, because that's the box that lets me communicate to you about non-emergency things. And I've been using that for anything that's like a minor traffic road closure to our trash delays related to snow or holidays or things like that.
And how many do we have signed up for?
Just
code
under
red?
10,000.
10,000.
So it's been growing.
That's in the city.
Yes, sir.
limits. Okay. Good.
So that's good. Yeah, I actually, when I see the things you post, I just repeat it. And then I take, I'm like,
No.
Clary, I take credit for it.
That's what it's there for. I don't need any credit. The goal is just to get the information out. So however you guys help get it
All
out,
right.
that's what we need to have happen.
Good deal.
And every time I had somebody post after, the Martin Luther King Day comments about the trash, and someone said, I'm the only one in my neighborhood who must see this. And I politely said, well, good, can you help spread the word to your neighbors?
Right, listen, there you go.
Give them this link and sign up, because it's going to just take word of mouth to help
Yeah.
get more people kind of logged in to where they can find this information.
Well, I will say Hendersonville is good about word of mouth. They really are. The only thing is sometimes it, by the time it gets to the very last person, it's really changed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so sometimes it changed. No, it's a little bit different than that, but this is the way it is. All right. Well, good. Any other further discussion on this trash collection
Thank you,
hearing?
Sarah, for the analysis.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the infrastructure resiliency plan of 2025.
So this was something we discussed when we started looking at the capital transportation
Right.
improvement plan. This was sort of piggyback on that. And so this is the updated draft. Again, this is really just requesting a review and approval, if you will, of the methodology. And then, the intention would be that we would start requesting budget approvals with fiscal year 26 for some of these items that are more urgent.
So moved. I move approval.
Okay, there's been a motion to adopt the infrastructure resiliency plan for 2025. There's been a proper second. Any other discussion on this?
I have
Go ahead, sir.
a question. One of the things that staff has done that's really, I think, helping to extend the life of our roadways is by sealing the center seam.
Yes.
But I have noticed since this cold snap that there seems to be more fractures in asphalt, especially around Ward 6. So will staff, after the winter, do a survey of the city and re-implement the sealing program to help extend the life of our asphalt?
Yes.
And is that in here?
That pavement management is listed in here, kind of at a high level. But yes. So when we look at deciding, determining which roads we need to pave next fiscal year, we drive, all throughout the city. And at that time, that's really when we make note of areas where we need patching and where we could use the crack sealant, replacement of signs, things like that. And so that's usually the time we'll be evaluating for that.
And there's money in the budget for that, correct?
We usually do include a line item for maintenance, yes.
Okay. I just think that that's really helping extend the life of our roads,
I agree.
and I hope that we can extend that even further, maybe into some neighborhoods, subdivisions, so that try to get 2, 3, 4 more years out of our asphalt.
Yes, I agree.
If I may
Yes, sir.
piggyback on asphalt maintenance, one of the things that we have coming up, I don't know if it's on the agenda, but the transportation plan that we had last week, the meeting with DDOT was great, and it was very well attended, as Alderman Robertson said. One of the things I did want to discuss, though, I think I mentioned it to Sarah at the meeting, but I did want to bring it up at your Public Works meeting, is that when we do begin the work on that intersection, Walton Ferry, Old Shackle realignment at Ernest, I think they're going to begin in February sometime.
February 3rd.
February 3rd. And so when we do begin that, it was the comments I've heard from my constituents and other members that were actually there, though they're going to be using alternate routes to get in and out of where they are. One of the ways we can encourage safety throughout that, because people are going to be going from Rockland Road to Harbor to Cumberland Shores back behind the construction, the same way from Saunders Ferry, different roads that direction. We already have Luna Lane that's striped, Hickory Heights, that's another way back in there. But there are other roads that may need to be striped as part of traffic calming measures. So those roads include Harbor, Cumberland Shores, to the best of my knowledge and what I've driven on. Never Break appears to have been striped at one point, but the lines are so faded that you can't hardly see it. And Never Break to Volco. And then Gaytone, because Gaytone stretches all the way throughout there as well. That appears to me, looking at a map, but of course I'm going to leave it up to Public Works to determine what roads at best need to be striped so that we can control traffic better and have better safety on these roads. So I just want to bring that forward to the meeting tonight and ask you all to put that in your plan if you could. That way we can have safety throughout the peninsula and in the neighborhoods that don't usually get that much traffic. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And just want to put a kind of a note on that because we were going to put you under other business, but
Oh,
if you
sorry,
think
I
that's
jumped the
okay.
gun.
No, you're good. No, in our committee, we're very good about stuff like that. You know, most of the aldermen or just people in general are very good at putting their 2 cents worth at the right time, and that was a good time because
Thank you.
it's talking about what we're doing about the roads and situations. So you're fine. Just knocking you out there. And then if you think of anything else that you want to discuss, we'll put that under other business. And
Thank you. I appreciate
and I'll
that.
come back to you as
Thank
well.
you,
So, sure. All right. There's been a proper motion discussion and proper second for the infrastructure resiliency plan for 2025. Is there any other discussion? Mayor, do you have any on it?
Appreciate the offer, but I'm good. Thank you.
All right. How about you, Jesse? Anything?
No, I just think it's a great thing to implement. So thank you, Public Works, for your work on it.
It's very proactive.
It is. It's very, in fact, I think that we've never had that before, actually, this plan. So we're doing a lot of, great things are happening for the city in the coming year. And I'm excited about it. And I know you guys are too, especially in Public Works. We're doing a lot of work and a lot of stuff that we're being proactive doing and also catching up, and new plans that really is going to affect the city of Hendersonville, such as after we vote on this, we're going to be talking about light synchronization. So let's go ahead and vote on this. And all in favor of the infrastructure resiliency plan of 2025, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? It passes to the board. I don't know, does this go to the board of mayor and aldermen?
What is the next?
It does?
It is.
Okay. We'll put it down to the board and we'll get it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you gonna make edits?
No, it
to
doesn't.
It still says draft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have it as a draft. I mean, it can
Well-
go to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. There wasn't.
What we'll do then is if there's go ahead and review it again at home. If you're like me and you're just aching to read Public Works at night before you go to bed, turn your light on and sit there and, read stuff. Look at it, and if there's any additions or suggestions or questions to Sarah, you can give her a shout. First thing in the morning with that first cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that incorrectly. Some of this is actually already going to the board and already been funded by the budget. And part of the reason is because we've unfortunately gotten pretty good at disasters. We learned where our deficiencies were.
That's true.
And Sarah and Jesse, figured out what we needed to do, what we learned from those. And so some of this is actually already implemented. So I apologize for misspeaking there a minute ago.
Well, if it does, we'll be ready for it. And if it doesn't, then I think it's good, we've made a motion and passed it and onward with it. Speaking of great things, let's talk about the light synchronization. We got a verbal update for you guys.
Yeah, so still working through the documents back and forth with TDOT. Unfortunately, there are multiple steps to the approval of the documents, but we did this last week submit the advertisement for approval for the CEI on the project, which is the Construction Engineering Inspector, which is required for all the TDOT local programs projects. So expecting approval of that, and we'll get that advertised, have them under contract before the project goes to bid.
All right, sounds good. Any questions or?
Yeah, so, I'm gonna drill down on this. Has the state responded from our last, I think you said we submitted the design, correct?
Yes.
On December the 6th, somewhere early December.
I remember the date on that. They have approved multiple submittals that I don't remember exactly which one we talked about last time, but so there's the plans, there's the bid proposal, the estimate, and they all get submitted in steps. Unfortunately, they don't take them all and
Okay.
review them all at once. So
Okay.
right now they're looking through the updated estimate, and the bid proposal is still in review with their various.
They've not approved
divisions.
any of the three then yet.
They have approved the DBE goal, so the disadvantaged business enterprises, which is part of it's part of the steps, and the plans had been approved. So
I did talk to our legislators last week about this, and our consultant is also understands the need for help on this as well.
So Sarah, you had stated in an email that I had seen, I think it was regarding another project, that TDOT has hired a new mover and shaker for projects, somebody that is supposed to be able to cut through the BS, bureaucratic quagmire and move projects forward.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Well, and I used to be a bureaucrat, so I know about that. So what's the stat? Tell the board that.
Sure.
What's
So
happening? TDOT.
they reorganized. So the individual that they moved to be over local programs used to be over their long range transportation division, Steve Allen. And so some of the changes that he's making, which are going to take time to be fully implemented. One of the big ones that I think will help move projects along better is the way things work right now is when we submit plans, they get sent out to however many different divisions. And they're not engineers in local programs. They're engineers in the region
Right.
for TDOT. It's a little difficult to explain, I guess, but they have two different project delivery trains. So they have their own projects. So they have their own engineers that work on their projects, and they have local programs, which is what our projects fall under. So they haven't historically had engineers in local programs reviewing the local programs projects. So they're very low priority, is what it seems like, when they come from local programs to the engineers that are also doing design and their other workload. And it takes a lot longer to get those comments back. The coordination takes a lot longer. And so what Steve Allen is working toward is he's hiring engineers to be contained in local programs so that when they get submittals, it's engineers in local programs. That is their job. That's their work, and that's their priority. And so hopefully that will start to expedite some of these projects, but it hasn't come to fruition yet.
Steve Allen also lives in Hendersonville.
He does.
Yes, I was
Very
going to
helpful.
say.
Yes.
I noticed our president was in LA and got in a pretty big argument with the mayor of LA for bureaucratic delays of permits and stuff. And he said, a week's too long, 24 hours, let's move on it. It seems like we need somebody like that at the state level to move and shake, because it just, the biggest headache, the biggest disappointment that I've had as an alderman is the inability to move projects forward.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to us, but it's even more frustrating to citizens.
Yes.
And so, maybe it would be good if we could, is this one person that's gonna kind of be the guru over expediting and seeing things done quicker? Is there one person that's gonna be over that, or is it just another box on a diagram? You know,
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be the box in the diagram, unfortunately, but Steve Allen has been charged with making local programs more efficient because their average project delivery timeline, I think, through local programs right now is 15 years. So we're beating that on some of our projects, but it still takes 10 years or.
that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable to citizens, and I think it should be unacceptable to us as legislators at the state level.
Alderman Robertson, will they have a project manager for this project?
We have a contact. Can't think right now what the terminology they use for her, but everything that we submit goes through her, and then she sends it out to the various divisions.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have a project manager for our projects. Essentially, the CEI, once it goes to construction, that's the project manager. But
Would it be helpful at all if our capital projects chairman or public works chairman and I went down there, do you think? Or should we wait till we have the CEI?
Well, getting it through the process to construction would be really helpful. So possibly meeting with Steve Allen or,
Steve is a
hurt.
golfer. So, okay.
I'll take him to play and let him beat me.
I'll do the same thing, but that's much effort.
If our projects will get moving quicker.
Okay.
Does he want to join the committee?
So we'll do that. I'll give Steve a shout and say, hey, let's just.
I mean, guys, do y'all hear the same problem? I mean,
Yeah.
look how long it's taken Walton Ferry
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
Old Shackle. And that's just,
We've been screaming.
I mean, I know I'm just a gnat, but we've got to somehow be able to shake the bushes, Mayor, and do better in getting these projects
Well, I will.
prioritized.
Well, I will say this. I'm glad Steve's doing it because I know him. And I know some of us know him. I did not know that they had done that yet. But I'm really glad that he's the one because he moves things along. I mean, he doesn't play, you know what I mean? When he sees there's something, that something needs to be done, he gets it done. So I'm very pleased that he's doing that. But yeah, Mayor, if you want to meet, if you want to do that and set up something for Alderman Roberson and myself, would be glad to do that.
I'll send myself an email to that effect.
All right. Okay, any further discussion on the synchronization? I'm just glad that everything's moving along and we're doing everything possible at this point. One thing I learned a long time ago, back in the 80s, late 80s, was, when I came on board, and I know most of the new guys, you're going to conquer the world. And I was the same way. And and now I look and I saw the way people looked at me and they kind of chuckled and they said, right. But it's like when we have these things, you got to learn to work within the system. And I've learned that. I learned it early on that's what you have to do. It's, you can try to do you can fuss and fight and argue, but it really is with the state or the county or whoever, but it's how you work within the system. And that's how you beat it. And you just got to, I've always said to me, and you've heard me say this as alderman and as this committee, just show me the rules, how to play by them. And I'll play by the rules, but I'll figure a way out where we can maybe jump ahead. And that's what we've tried to do in the last couple of mayors' administrative issues that we've had. I guess our last 2 elections, I guess I should say. And we've done that. And I commend the mayor for that because he comes from the same idea as me, work within the system and this is how we're gonna try to beat it, you know, and I respect that because I'm the same way. And I appreciate that kind of effort that's been from all of you guys. All right, I'm through with my preaching. Is there any other business? Mayor, do you? And Jesse? No. Alderman Bergdorf, do you have?
No, I'm fine. I've been
Good?
satisfied. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
great deal. All right, committee, I need a motion.
Move to adjourn.
All right, move to adjourn is adjourned.
Chris, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.